Yo, what's up, everyone? Happy Thursday morning, and welcome back to the Sharp Sports Report. I am Brandon, and listen, for the last couple of weeks, I've talked about, salary cap geometry, multi-team mega trades, and front office leverage here in the NBA ever since the season concluded. But this morning, I'll be officially locking the front office executives out of the room and putting down the trade spreadsheets and picking up the clicker and shifting our attention entirely to the grass and the hardwood, because right now we are living in the best crossover month of the year. The NBA Summer League has given us some massive high-level film to study, and we are exactly 1 month away from college football Saturdays returning to our televisions. I am so excited. The pads are clicking, the media days are wrapping up, and the storylines are completely locked in. So this morning, just going to highlight some under-the-radar Summer League standouts, the ones who are executing actual winning basketball concepts, and then I am going to be launching our official countdown to kickoff by tiering the college football national landscape, examining explosive roster reconstructions down in Baton Rouge, and looking at the parity defining the conference races. So go grab your coffee this morning, put me on your radio, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and let's dive right into this. So you're scrolling through social media, right, during the Summer League. Everyone is obsessing over raw box score numbers. Someone scores 28 on 25 shots, and the internet crowns them a future superstar. But as a coach, former player, basketball trainer myself, I don't care about the scoring volume. I care about the structural functionality. Who is executing concepts that translate to a real regular season NBA rotation? Let's go back to the tape on OKC's second unit. I highlighted the passing geometry of Adai Mara on Monday, but the guy who is completely opening up their offensive efficiency is Bennett Sturtz. His pace in middle pick and roll is beautifully disciplined. He doesn't let screen defenders speed him up. His manipulation of the low drop coverage with his eyes is elite, and his pocket passes are arriving perfectly on the laces. He is proving he can run a functional half-court offense without turning the ball over, which is key in the NBA. You want someone who doesn't turn the ball over. Now let's focus our attention in San Antonio on the defensive execution. Jacoby Gillespie has been an absolute nightmare for opposing ball handlers at the point of attack. He isn't just playing hard, he's playing technically sound, 94-foot recovery defense, denying middle penetration and blowing up handoff actions. When you pair that point of attack pressure with Terrace Reed Jr. anchoring the low post, you see exactly what the Spurs are building. Reed's verticality metrics have been flawless on the summer circuit. He isn't chasing empty blocks and taking himself out of rebounding position. He's absorbing contact with his chest, keeping his hands vertical, and instantly securing the defensive glass. That is real scalable basketball infrastructure. I mean, I know a lot of people don't watch Summer League because it's not who you want to see play basketball. But for those who really like to deep dive into these rookies, so-called, freshmen and sophomores of the league right now, it does truly give you a better picture when you watch these games of like, okay, who's actually going to resonate better with the NBA model? Who's going to resonate better with this up-tempo, more physical league? And some players you never even heard of are having great summer leagues right now. Yes, most of them are draftees. But then you also have these other guys who are getting chances to showcase themselves in front of NBA coaches, scouts, and all this stuff who went undrafted, but maybe played some semi-pro leagues or is coming over for the summer league after playing overseas for the first couple years after leaving high school or college. There's a lot of good players that we don't really get to see very often, and this is the time where you, as an organization, can find those players who can fill in key spots for you just to get them that NBA seasonality. You want a player who's young, who can get some reps when they can, especially if it's a blowout game, even in season practices. You just want to get them reps as much as possible. But listen, enough basketball. Now let's flip the field, because we're roughly 4 weeks out from college football, and the media day circuit has given us crystal clear look at how the national landscape is shaping up. So if you look at, the top tier of the sport, the margin for error is the smallest we have ever seen it. So I'm going to be mapping out the absolute definitive national title frontrunners entering the month of August here the next couple of weeks. Ohio State I have on my list because of their elite defensive returning production, their premium portal influx. They are a tier 1 lock for me right now. God, believe it or not, Kirby Smart and his boys, Georgia, are going to be another tier 1 lock for me because of their trenches and positional continuity and their high-level recruiting retention. Kirby Smart, year in, year out, has one of the best recruiting classes. I will always put Georgia in there. I kind of was surprised when I was like, man, looking at this list, Georgia's kind of a tier 1 lock right now. Staying in the SEC, we're going to go Texas and Steve Sarkisian and his boys. The SEC landscape adaptation has kind of worked in Texas's favor right now. Their major offseason roster catalyst for Texas has been their deep perimeter passing game with bringing in Keon Coleman. I think he's going to be a great addition with Arch Manning and the boys. I have a tier 1 front runner label for them as a playoff outlook. This is kind of I will say this is an unbiased choice, but this is where I'm from, South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame is a tier 1 front runner. They have elite developmental secondary show. The guys they have second fiddle behind their linebackers, behind their secondary, behind their defensive line. That defense is going to be insane this year. They have veteran tactical continuity all over that team. And yes, they are a tier 1 front runner for me. And last but not least, we're going to throw in another Big Ten school on my list, Oregon. Their West Coast Pacific infrastructure has been unlike anything we've ever seen in recent years. Dan Lanning has been pulling that team together left and right. Big name signings, but at the same time, he has been consistent. He hasn't made it to the big game yet. Is this the year Dan Lanning gets his Oregon Ducks to the national stage with Dante Moore coming back and Dylan Raiola as your backup? They have explosive offensive retooling all over on that offensive side. It's going to be interesting to see how they do. You know, when looking at this layout, Ohio State and Georgia are sitting on an island of their own when it comes to raw roster depth. But the team I keep coming back to as the ultimate tactical wild card in that absolute top tier is Notre Dame. And just like I mentioned before when I was bringing them up in my list, their entire defensive architecture is built around an elite veteran secondary show that completely limits explosive chunk plays through the air. In the modern college football landscape, if you can force an opposing offense to put together 12 play methodically, it slows them down just to score, and then you change the math of the entire game. They aren't going to blow themselves up with coverage bust, and their structural discipline gives them a massive schematic floor before the ball is even snapped. So I think Notre Dame, whether you hate them or love them, they're going to be in the mix as a national title contender this year, if not one of the absolute top 2 favorites right now. But if we want to talk about sheer roster turnover and high-stakes drama, we have to go down south to the good old boys of LSU because we are starting the Lane Kiffin era. I mean, Jesus, the sheer variance on this roster, 59.5% of players on the LSU's depth chart this morning were not on the football team last season. That is 64 new faces out of 108 total players. Kiffin didn't just tweak the edges through the transfer portal, he completely gutted and rebuilt the entire program from the ground up. Offensively, he's importing a hyper-explosive, vertically aggressive passing game that averaged over 16 yards per catch at their previous stops. But the season will completely hinge on whether defensive coordinator Blake Baker can fix their massive Achilles heel from last year, which was stopping mobile downhill running quarterbacks. They give up nearly 500 rushing yards to quarterbacks last season, and with high-stakes games early against Ole Miss and A&M, Kiffin's defensive unit has to establish physical edge control immediately. I think it's gonna be a crazy day when it's that LSU Ole Miss game because I believe it's at Ole Miss this year. So I'm super anxious to see that. Meanwhile, out west in the Big 12, we are looking at total beautiful chaos. Texas Tech enters the month of August as the conference favorite, even though they just lost Brendan Sorsby with that whole debacle. But Commissioner Brett Yormark, made it clear at Media Days that the league needs to validate its depth by winning postseason games. So with teams in the Big 12 like Utah, Oklahoma State, and Kansas completely loaded with returning veteran production, the Big 12 is going to be an absolute weekly knife fight where 3 losses could still realistically get one of those teams into the conference title game. The parity is just unmatched right now. I mean, there's so much to dive into with college football, and I'm so excited we're a month away. basketball is going to be wrapping up, and like I told you guys a couple episodes ago, I will be diving more into college football. I'm super excited about it. I love talking basketball, but I also love talking college football. The college football pads are cracking. We are officially moving into the best stretch of the sports calendar right now. The World Cup final is July 19th. It's going to be a crazy one. It's going to be between Argentina and Spain. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment sections, which Summer League standout has looked the most like a day one regular season rotation player to you? And looking at our college football grid, are you buying Lane Kiffin making the playoff in his first year at LSU? Or is that roster turnover too high to trust? I want you guys to drop who you would have in your tier 1 locks or tier 1 front runners for making the college football playoff this year. Let's really start hammering home this college football, because before you know it, we're going to be waking up 9 a.m., getting ready for game day, having some coffee, making some bacon and eggs, maybe going tailgating in the morning. Oh, it's going to be a great time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Spotify and YouTube so you never miss a Monday or Thursday morning drop. I appreciate all your guys' help. You guys have been nothing but fantastic, and I appreciate you guys spending your Thursday morning with me. Keep grinding. Have a great Thursday and have a great weekend, and I will be back on Monday. Stay locked to the tape, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.